All right, so we are live on LinkedIn this beautiful January 6th, 2021. So 2021, this is supposed to be the big year. This is supposed to be the year that we go back to normal, and it hasn't really been shaping up that way yet, but it's only the 6th. I've got V with me, Vee Caron, or as our U.S. neighbors say, Vee Caron. V, how are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Tony?
I'm fine. I'm fine. I remember that someone was talking to me about you, and it was like an official meeting. I think it was a something anyway, um, and they were saying Ms. Karan,
Yep.
and I'm like, who are they talking about? Who's Miss Karan? And then it clicked to me. I'm like, oh, they're talking about Vee Caron.
That's
So
me.
V is short for Virginie.
Virginie. Yeah.
Virginie. Do you find that people who are not French have a hard time pronouncing Virginie? Is that why we shortened your name?
Yes, that's exactly right. Just to make it easy for everyone, V is the way to go. And
Okay.
I mean, it's been about 15 years, anyways, that everyone calls me V. So it's kind of my
Uh,
name.
okay, so it wasn't simply PHP who decided to shorten your name because we're
No.
known to do that from time to time.
Yeah, I mean, I lived in Australia for a long time. So for them to pronounce my name was impossible. So I made the mission a little bit easier and
Okay.
shortened my name.
How many years were you living in Australia, and what age were you?
I was there from 2011 to 2018, so that was 7
Okay.
years, and yeah,
Oh, you were
between
there.
21 and 28 years old, I was living over there.
Okay, you were there for 7 years, and were you in what type of work were you doing there? Or were you in school? Like,
Yeah,
what's?
so I was studying business over there, and I was doing special projects for a recruitment agency. So anything that was related to like admin, but also I was the COO's right hand, and I was also doing all the IT special projects over there, helping out with operations.
Nice.
And then yeah, so I was there for a solid 2 3 years. I can't remember. Then after I did some business process. Everything was related in IT there as well. And here I am.
Nice. Did you go there with your parents, or did you go there on your own?
I went there on my own, never took a plane, didn't speak English. And
Didn't
yeah,
speak English. What? Really?
I did it. I did it. So it was
Wow.
a big first. Everything I was doing was a big first for me. So
It's
uh,
amazing that you don't have an Australian accent.
I did. The
You did.
first year, yeah,
Okay.
the first year it was so thick, my Australian accent, and even my mother, I remember she was like, "I'm scared you won't find a job because you don't sound North American when you speak English."
Oh,
But
yeah.
I guess being back in Canada, the North American slash French Canadian English has is now how I sound. I hope.
Okay, that's great. That's fantastic. Everyone, just so you know, so Kyler is working from home, so he's managing this from home. That's why I have my phone here in case there's anything. He's going to send me a message. Um, Raf is here in the office with me, my business partner, and V is also working from home. Hey, Raf. So that's going to lead me to, and I know I really want to talk about how we pull off treating our clients like family. But I also, before we get into that, and this is like all of our live podcasts, it's completely unscripted. And V, you can confirm that you and I did not have any conversations before this podcast, because we're just honest, we're genuine, and we tell the truth. So it's not difficult to prepare for these because we just talk. So now we are in the city of Montreal, and you're in Montreal as well. We are in complete lockdown, except for essential services. I come to the office a few times a week to get the mail, pick up any checks, bring them to the bank. So You've been pretty much fully remote since March 2020. I think there was a time during the summer when things opened up and you actually came to the office. But how are things going now? How are you doing managing everyone who's all working remotely and you're working remotely as well? How's everything going?
Everything's going great, to be honest. So, one of the things that we identified in the first lockdown is that it was a little bit harder for us to talk to one another. So, we have implemented some daily stand ups with everyone. That way, we keep in touch and we're not strangers to one another. So, and that also helps with, keeping updated with all of our projects. And yeah, so we do this across the entire company, and everything is going much more smoother than the first time around.
Yeah, I remember March and April were particularly rough. Not really from a programming part because the developers seemed to, hit the ground running. But I think it was rough for management,
Mhm.
if I'm not mistaken. We had some difficulties for sure.
Yeah.
And so now let's say if there's 40 developers in the company, I think there might be a little more now, but we'll use a round number of 40. You're not saying that you talk to every single developer every single day, correct? So how do you work that out?
So I actually have Ryan that is now working with me in the project management team. So that's super
Right.
exciting. So, and
Yeah.
as we're growing, yes, I was not able to talk to 40 developers in one day. That's not realistic. So let's say there's about 15 people that those projects they are all staff augmentations and are part of other development teams. So we don't really touch base with them that often, but everyone that is project based and have a direct communication with clients, yes, we do
Mm-hmm.
try to talk to them every day. So what we do is that we pair them all together in a scrum. So let's say if there are three guys working on the same team, or two guys are working on the same project and another one is working on some part of that project, we will meet them at the same time, and where we will allocate them roughly 15 minutes, so we can talk all together and then align for the day and make sure that everyone knows what's on their plate. And that helps us with organizing, and that helps us with transparency as well with our clients, because they know exactly what we're working on. um
Nice.
yeah,
Do do
so
do the clients participate in that meeting?
no, so they will not. It's more internal, just for us, as I mentioned, just to touch base. How's everyone feeling? And we go with small housekeeping, and then after we tackle business and tackle the projects, we will talk to clients depending on the frequency, sometimes twice or once a week.
Okay, nice, nice. And I guess clients are quite open to having these meetings, right? Do you ever have a client that is saying, "Well, listen, I don't want to be bothered. Call me like in a couple of weeks," type of thing, or is everyone sort of hands on the client side?
I would say that we do have clients that are like, just call me when the feature is done type of deal. But I
Okay.
would say that 97% of our clients really do appreciate being involved in the process, because they really do appreciate seeing their products grow. They love seeing new features. They love to understand what they love to have this, technical understanding as to what's going on. Um, Sometimes in a project, uh, clients, just to start with, will want to meet with us every day just to get us up and running, because there's a lot of business logic and small details that is super important to um, for the devs to know. And when you kind of just talk about a certain part of the system, it doesn't come organically. So the more conversation that we have, the more business logics and details that, and we can make those connections together. But then after, I would say that with majority of our clients, we only meet them with them once a week or twice a week, and those are kind of the recap of um, what we talk about every day in our scrums.
Okay, nice. Hang on, I have a question here. Let me see if I should. Um, okay, that's a good family question. So, so that's good. That's good to know. Because I was wondering how the remote thing was going. Like I said, I find a lot of programmers and sysadmins, they're so used to working from home. I guess a lot of times prior to coming to Simply PHP, they used to work from home, or they have projects at night, that type of thing. So it was more of a shock to us in March and April that that everyone was working from home and not at the office. So I'm glad to see, and I know that things are going well because I get less complaints, right? And that's the thing. And I guess that'll transition me to the treating clients as family segment, because I know that V, you might not know this, but in our 11-year history, I've had a lot of clients that were friends, neighbors, family members, extended family members. And I always had a little bit of nervousness when it came to dealing with neighbors and friends and family, because I would always say, well, listen, we really got to make sure that we please them, because I'm gonna I'm gonna be seeing them for the rest of my life, right? So I didn't ever want to ruin a family relationship or ruin a friend relationship because of not producing properly, or not communicating properly with them. So I was always on guard when it came to a family member or a friend, because by the way, I really felt flattered that friends and family would reach out to me when they had web needs. I had one of my good friends, a neighbor, who had 3 or 4 car dealerships that gave us tremendous amount of business. And there was always that little asterisk beside their project. But then I realized that I should act that way for all of our clients, not just friends and family. And so this was kind of something that was a turning point for me personally, um, because anytime a client, whether I've never even met them before or whether they're close friends, anytime a client is unhappy, I get this horrible feeling in the pit of my stomach. And I think that you have the same type of vibe, I find. So how does it affect you when a client is not happy? um, let's start with that. Like, what are the steps, you take to make sure that a client is always happy and you treat them like they're a member of your family?
Well, that's a very good question, because it's always been very important to me to be extremely genuine and honest and transparent in any area of my life. And I'm an open book. So, and if a client is unhappy, I will be touched, because it's like my best friend, my husband, my mother, that would tell me that they're not happy with something. So my
Mm-hmm.
first instinct is, okay, let's really break down what is the root cause of how you feel, and let's try to find a solution. And I am always, ready to go above and beyond to make sure that we can go back to have, a good and happy relationship. So yes, I do feel extremely touched, and I do feel a lot of empathy towards my clients that do feel a little bit frustrated with something, because I always put
Mm.
myself in their shoes as well. So this is probably the first thing that I do is, how would I feel if that would happen to me? And that leads to, how would I like to be treated following that?
Nice.
Um, so to make sure to answer the second part of your question, to answer that, they're all, to keep them happy, I believe is communication.
Yeah.
um, I really dislike leaving my clients in the dark, because again, if I would be left in the dark, especially in a web project that, I would say that the majority of our clients don't have a technical knowledge, it makes them even a little bit there, even to start with, there are, they don't have that knowledge. So I don't want them to feel left out. So that's why it's important for me to, because I am not a developer. Everything I know in tech is things that I've learned throughout the years in my career. So that's why it's very easy for me to put myself in their shoes too. So when I receive that technical knowledge, I translate it and, share that information to our clients. So I believe that with keeping those daily communications, bi-weekly communication, weekly communications, emails even, really does help our clients to know what's happening. And I believe that it does keep them happy,
Yeah.
and that's something that, I set expectations right from a project as well, and I align with them, and I tell them, if you're unhappy with something, please don't wait too long before telling me. I don't want it to wait for too long. Let's, before it becomes a problem, let's discuss it. So that way it's always easier to keep our clients happy too.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Totally true. Um, no one, no one would want to come to work every day and deal with clients who are unhappy. Um, some companies actually do that because they have no choice.
Mhm.
They just got to get the invoices out there. They gotta generate revenue from their services, no matter what. But I find with us, um, it's not the invoice at the end of the week or the end of the month that's important. It comes to a point when you're at a certain size of company that it's not the invoice that's important. It's the client's happiness that's important.
Mhm.
And setting the expectation with communication is huge. But I think it also has a ripple effect. And I'm sorry, I keep checking my phone. I'm not being rude. It's just because Kyler's not in the office. So if there's any comments or questions, he's just texting me.
Mhm.
So there's a question from Raiko. Raiko asks, or is that Rico? It's probably Raiko. So Raiko asks, how do you manage the client to employee relationship with both of them being treated like family? Love that. And that's kind of what I was going to say. The ripple effect
Mhm.
is by having a happy client, you have a happy developer
Mhm.
or a happy employee. Is that so true?
It is so true because we're all human beings, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's been proven that we work better when we are surrounded by positive, and that we live and breathe with a positive attitude. And this is my mantra. So it's
Yeah.
always, I want to sprinkle sunshine everywhere. It's super important to have, because it starts with the client, yes, but it's our devs and our designers that are executing, and we have to make sure that everyone is happy in order to, produce quality, and, make sure that we meet our deadlines, and all of the business stuff. But it's
Mm-hmm.
much more pleasant for anyone to work when, you know everyone's happy.
That's totally true because if you have a client with the wrong expectation because he or she was given the wrong expectation, and the sysadmin or the developer or designer, I had to throw sysadmin in there, um, is doing a fantastic job, but if the expectation is not set properly, then the client could still not be happy.
Yeah.
So, for example, if the client's expectation is something is going to be done in a couple of months, and then 6 7 months later, um, everyone's still working at it, the client's employees as well as us, then the client's not going to be happy no matter how good of a job everyone's doing. So
Mhm.
it's definitely a fine line that you have to walk, and you have to really call out things that are not working on the spot, right? On the spot. We can't let things accumulate. We can't push things under the carpet, because we know eventually, it's the client's going to end up come calling, and things are going to not end well. But how do you deal with? Now, I know you're a very outgoing, energetic person. You're a great motivator. So how do you keep? Let's say a developer's doing a fantastic job, and the client's super happy. How does the developer know that? Like, what are the things that, like, without telling the guy or girl that they're awesome every single day, like, how do you make that happen?
Well, I will tell them every single day that they're doing an awesome job because it's the first thing you got to do. Because if they're making an awesome job, I'll be super happy and I know the client will be super happy. But I usually spread the word because it's important to shed the light on people that are doing outstanding performance. So I will be sharing it with their teams. I will be sharing it with their pod leaders. We also do
Mm-hmm.
have a main chat Slack channel where it's called shout out. I will drop a message there as well, uh, because it's important to celebrate these people. It's important to celebrate anyone, but especially for outstanding performance, it's important to share the love and share that happiness. So yeah, and
Great,
that motivates not only the person, but it motivates the team as well because we're all celebrating this goal that we've all achieved together.
great. Yeah, that's a tough one, because web development is such it's not like you're painting a house or something. It's
Mm.
such a delicate, you know, engineering process that is, fraught with unknowns and full of unpredictable events. So I think it's important to keep everyone motivated and positive. And I have another question. How do you go about having a tough conversation with a client about an employee? Okay, I assume the person means if the employee is not working out. Let's whether that's what I hope that's what they mean. But so on the other side of the coin, what do you do when you're seeing that one of our resources is not working out properly? And I know this has happened to you in the past. So your energy's there, the client, all of our clients, by the way, they all start off with amazing attitudes. They start off with amazing spirit of collaboration. They all start off like that
Mhm.
because we're North Americans, right? Canadians, Americans, this is how we are. We're very, very positive, collaborative. It's really our relationship to ruin. Um, Tough words, I know, but it's true. So what do you do when you actually see one of our resources not pulling his or her weight? Clients unaware, really. They would eventually become aware. But what do you do as an account manager when you're faced with a situation like that? Great question, by the way. If that's what you meant, fantastic question. Is that
It
from
is.
Ryko again? That's from Ryko. I like Ryko. It's got a weird name,
Yeah,
but
it is a great question.
so what do you do?
So what do I do? Well, there's
Yeah,
so
I'm
many
gonna take
type of
I'm gonna
situations.
take notes because I really want to know.
Well, it's all case by case. I want to be really transparent here. It all, every single situation is treated differently. And it's very delicate. It's very, very delicate. So I believe our mission is to put, the way that I'm, interpreting this question is the way that we assign developer to a project is we always try to find the best fit, for any type of projects. But sometimes we do make mistakes and we have to own up to these mistakes. So sometimes it's not necessarily the developer that's not doing a good job. Sometimes it's just not the right fit for the projects. So
Okay. You mean
yeah,
like the wrong programming language
yeah, or
type of thing?
technologies, or
Okay.
some type of like technologies that they're not necessarily comfortable with. So in this case, we will be kind of rearranging and make sure that this developer, and we will be taught, we once that we have identified all of those problems, and then we believe that the developer is not the right fit for the project, this is something that we will be discussing with the client. um, and then we will find a replacement. If the developer is just not delivering, as you said, they're not putting their weight in, well, this is kind of another tough one. We have
Let me ask you a question on the first one, please, before you go to the next scenario. So, um, does it is it something that's discovered very quickly, or is it something that may take months? I know it's. I guess just talk generally because I know every
yeah,
situation's different.
yeah,
But is
but
it something quick that you say, "Oh gosh, it's like you're into day 3 or day 4, and you're like, okay, no, this guy's not the right person for the job. We got to switch him out."
yeah, generally it's between 1 and 2 weeks. We
Oh,
know,
okay,
yeah, it's
all
it's
right.
it's fairly quick, yeah, because the thing is as well is that I'm not the one only deciding on this. I will be
Mm-hmm.
talking to their pod leaders, and I will be talking to other senior developers, and I will be presenting them the situation. Look, I have dev A and project A, how, and project one. So those are the difficulties that I'm facing. Is it normal? Do you think that I should be giving them a little bit longer? How do and
Yeah,
from those answers, this is where we will be making the decisions. And then in some situation as well, I will be talking to the developer to try to understand what their difficulties are too.
mm-hmm.
Because maybe they will come forward and say, no, I really can't do that. Because, sometimes, our devs, they just want to make our clients happy. That's, they
Yeah,
just want to do a good job. And then sometimes they're going to be like, they're going to have that developer ego where they're going to put their head down and they're like, yeah, I got this, I got this, I got this. And it's
yeah,
my role to actually raise a hand and be like, should we talk? Do you have difficulty? Because remember, I'm here to make sure that our developers are successful on their projects.
nice, nice. I think I want to clarify too that as a company, we credit the hours that developer spent. So, in other words, if we allocate the wrong developer to a client's project, couple weeks in, um, we discover that no, this is not the right person. We have to put someone else in there. We credit fully those 1 or 2 weeks because it's only fair, right?
Yeah,
Um, and I've and sometimes the person just like you said, it's the wrong project for them. A lot of times, especially on a proven developer, like some of our employees have been with us for years and years, so we know what they can do. So sometimes if they step into a project and they're not performing, it's just he or she's not the right fit for that specific project, and we just put them on another project. But we definitely credit those hours.
yeah.
um, yeah, and what was the second one that you were going to talk about? You were going to talk about.
If the developer just doesn't put their weight in,
Oh yeah. Okay, so that's another scenario where you don't think it's a question of technology, but more motivation.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
that's completely different. Yeah,
Oh yeah. So it all and
that's when V gets mad. You don't
oh
want to
yeah,
see
she
V
gets
angry. I've seen V angry.
those are tough, but you know what? This kind of just bounce back to our daily communications that we have with our devs. This is very, it's for business, but it's also to align with them. We need to know, if a dev is going through something tough, because we all have a personal life. So this is super important, and this is kind of where how we treat our people like family. It's important to identify that. But if they're not pulling their weight in, we I will usually start by telling them what's up.
Yeah.
And then it's either, they're going to tell me something's wrong, or they're going to be like, oh no, everything's fine. But I don't usually, it doesn't last a long time, because I don't tolerate it, and
Hmm.
I want answers. I am pro efficiency. And if I see something's not working, well, we have to address it to the core. So
Okay.
it's either, depending of the situation, it's either a HR situation. And again, I will sometimes, depending on the situation, I will go talk to pod leads, and then I will talk to HR. If we're still stuck, I may come to you for guidance as well.
Hmm.
So yeah, any situation is, addressed differently, but those are usually the paths that we will be taking.
Okay. Good to know. I You reminded me of the beginning of the COVID of the first COVID lockdown, which was let's say March, April. In that first 2 months, I believe we let a few people go that were not able to cut it working from home independently. Correct?
Um, well, somehow the fact that we were all working from home, we were able to identify, yeah, people that were
Mm.
not performing.
Okay.
It really did shed the light on that, and we tried to make it work,
Yeah.
because this was not a moment that we wanted to let anyone go. And we pride ourselves that, this is another reason how we treat our people like family. We don't want to let anyone go. So if you've gone through our interview process and you're working with us, we'll try to make it work. So with
Yeah.
these couple of people, we tried to make it work. But whatever things that we implemented to make it work didn't. So yeah.
Yeah, that was I guess, it was not necessarily the person's fault because they were used to working at the office every day. They were used to the collaboration part, but there was a few of them that could not handle because they were performing
Yeah.
in the office,
Yeah.
right? But for whatever reason, maybe they were getting help from their colleague or who knows. But once we got into everyone's working remotely from home, there were a few that stood out in a negative way that we had to take action with. And it's funny, there was also, and I'm just thinking of this now, there was also a few that stood out in a super positive way.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost as if that's what they needed to give them that boost.
Yeah.
And I remember there was one person, he's still with us, that before COVID was even a word, said, guys, I'd like to work from home. And, it takes me an hour to get here and in traffic. And then I get here and I'm stressed. And then it takes me an hour to get home. And I remember us saying, well, you cannot work from home at this company. So too bad. We told you that when we hired you.
Yeah.
But that's the person who actually, since they've been working from home, went from here to here. Like they're just killing it. And I when the world opens up again, I don't think I want this person coming back to the office. Hey, that brings me to a question I have for you. Um, What do you think's going to happen when things open up again? I have my opinion of what I think Simply PHP's office is going to look like. But what do you think? Do you feel you on a personal level? Do you feel like you want to come back to the office full time?
I will. This is probably breaking news to you. I will come
It
back to
is.
the office,
Yeah.
but not full time. I'll be there like 2 3 days a week, but I'll be
Okay.
working 2 days from home. I believe same reason, just like traffic, and like I have everyone has their home office set up now, but it's super important for me because I love it's so much easier to just knock on your door and be like, "Hey Tony, I have something to talk to you. How you doing?"
Yeah.
And then to the
Exactly.
Same thing with the devs. There's a problem. We all brainstorm all together and just, talking with the other people of management is a little bit easier when everyone is sitting next to one another.
Yeah.
And in terms of what it's going to look like, I think a lot of people will pretty much do what I will do. I think people will have set days where they will be coming to the office, and then we'll like on each day of the week, you'll have a different team. You'll have some people that will come in on Monday, and some other people that will be there on Tuesday and Thursday.
Hmm.
So yeah, I
That's
think it's
interesting. I think this might be breaking news to you too. I know for a fact that we will never go back to you need to be in the office to work for Simply PHP. So
Mhm.
that's never going to happen again,
Mhm.
because that's the way that it was before. You had to be in Montreal. You had to come to the office every day. So that will never happen again. But I think it's really going to depend on what the Montreal resources want to do, right? If we get 25 people that say, hey, I've been dying to come back to the office, I hate my husband, I want to get away from him. We'll adapt, right? So we'll keep the office at the size that it is, and we'll just go back to that. But if we have a majority of our resources that don't necessarily want to come back, I could see us probably shrinking the office a little bit, as much as we're super happy here.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so it's interesting. It's going to be interesting. I like your reasoning a little bit. A couple days a week, get out of the house and get to see company owners and the controller and HR people that would normally be here.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see.
I'm excited.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited too. Imagine, I just can't wait to be in a concert hall, at a venue or a sporting event, and not have to worry about
Mhm.
this horrible virus. Oh, we got another question. There's one before I get to Julian. Um, how do you build a client relationship to be like family? You know what? That's after this conversation. I think it's easier for me to describe it. It's like you treat your clients as if you're going to be seeing them for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So don't piss anyone off because you're gonna see them every morning.
Mhm.
Don't piss anyone off because you'll see them at family events. I think a lot of companies may dismiss clients and treat them badly because they say, you know what, we're never gonna see them again. So who gives a crap, right? So that's probably the best answer. And again, I'm sorry if I'm reading my phone. It's because Kyler's not here, so he's sending me the questions that are coming up. How do you deal with opposing opinions of a solution? For example, a client wants to do something that, because of our experience, we know will fail, but they still want to do it. Great question. Great question from Julian. I'll give my quick opinion. Um, I I think in the end, if it's a solution that is not going to work, you need to refuse. That's the way that I see it. Um, just because if you go along with it, you're kind of guilty of leading someone off a cliff. For example, this is going to be a corny example, but if you're a Sherpa and you're climbing Mount Everest, everyone needs to follow you. Like, you need to be open to other solutions, especially if they're cost saving, time saving. Um, but if you have a client behind you saying, we need to go down that trail, but you know that down that trail is a cliff and you're all going to die, what would you do? You're going to say, no, Mr. Client, I respect you, but I'm not going down there because I've been here before. I've been climbing this mountain for 10 years. I know that that is not the right way to go. Oh, I want to go there anyway. I don't care. I'm paying. Well, that's when you involve V or myself, and then we have a conversation with the client. and we just refuse to do it. The client in the end will thank you. So that's a great question, and it probably comes up often. I don't know if it comes up often in a technical solution. Maybe it does, because we have a lot of CTOs that are leading our resources as well, CTOs and CIOs. So yeah, you definitely need to not just go along because you're told to go along. You need to make sure that because you are the expert. Because guess what? Guess what? If you voice your opinion and the client still says to go forward and you do go forward over that cliff, you will be blamed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I've seen it time and time again in the past 11 years. You will be blamed because you're the one that's the expert.
Yeah. I know.
That was a great question, by the way. V, do you have anything to add to that one?
No, it's just yeah. If I can add, those conversations are tough. They are
Those
very
conversations are tough, you said?
they're very very tough
Yeah.
because sometimes our clients will be like, I think this is the right way. I think this is the right way. They are tough, but we really have to hold our grounds. Um, but we have to make it happen because, as you said, we don't want to we have to keep this family relationship happy. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's yeah, of course you have to be open to other solutions. However, if you know something is going to end in disaster, then you can't just, keep on going down the road, because that would be irresponsible. You need to let me add another thing. You need to convince the client that they're wrong. as bad
yeah.
as bad as that sounds, you need to make it happen.
Hmm.
Um So that was great. I want to, another way to treat a client like family is to be able to cost cut, or be able to find easier, cost-effective solutions, even if it means that the company makes less money.
Yeah.
And I had a great example of this while you were on vacation with, because while you were on vacation, I kind of try to do your job a little bit, which consists of me just waiting for trouble or waiting for fires, which there was no fires, by the way. Thank you very much. Um, but yeah, it's super important that and what happened while you're on vacation is a client had requested that our developers build. I think it was a video chat solution
Hmm.
that was that he was proposing us to build it from scratch, which would probably take several weeks, if not months, of development.
Hmm.
Um, but at the same time, our actually Ryan had called it out to me that there's an actual off-the-shelf solution that could be integrated into the client's website in a matter of I think it was 1 or 2 days of
Hmm.
development. So now as a business owner or a manager, you're faced with the following. I get another couple months of guaranteed development work so I can invoice, or I have a 1 or 2 day solution that I'm going to make obviously much less money, but
Hmm.
my client's best interests are going to be taken care of.
Hmm.
And we happen to be in a situation where we put clients first because we can, right? Now, if you're a solo developer in your basement and you're a freelance developer and you have no client on the horizon, I'm pretty sure I know what solution you're going to take. You're going to spend a couple months building this custom solution. We proposed the off-the-shelf 1 or 2 day development solution to the client, and he couldn't be happier. So that's an example of treating a client like family because you got their back.
Yeah, it's our duty of care. We have to. Especially knowing this, I would feel bad to, because I mean, with what the client needed, it just made more sense for them to
Yeah,
go with the off the shelf solution. And I would feel
yeah,
bad to sell something when I know that something else exists. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to live with the guilt.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because that's your character. That's your
yeah.
character. However, if you're a freelance developer that doesn't
Yes.
have anything on the horizon and needs to feed his family or her
Yeah.
family, it's
Yeah.
you might end up looking the other way and saying, "Well, this is what the client asked me to do." But it's super important to instill that in your staff as well, so the staff knows that there's no points for prolonging
Hmm.
development.
Hmm.
Because listen, we have people waiting to hire us. So we're in that amazing position, and I'm so grateful for it. We're in
Hmm.
that amazing position to make the right decisions,
Yeah.
and it works well because we're nice people. We have one. I think we have time for one more question. Um, I don't know if this is going to be able to be answered though. What's the most memorable client interaction, good or bad? What's the most memorable client interaction, good or bad? V, does anything come to mind?
It's just, yeah. Quickly like this.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
It is a tough
Yeah, I
one.
think it's because and I hate to sound really corny, because we please so many people so often. It's hard to, it's hard to, it's hard to pick one. But I guess for me, the most memorable interactions are the constant, "Hey, you guys are doing a great job," because I'm human too, right? And so are you. I like to come into work and get nice emails. I like to get nice calls. People complimenting our staff. Um, those are those are kind of the never-ending feel-good moments of working here,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
The worst parts are yeah, when clients are when clients are not happy, when we're unable to please a client for whatever reason, or if the client has a platform that anything you touch breaks things, and we inherited it, and we're trying to fix it, and we're trying to make it stable, and but it's just impossible. um, those are difficult, very very difficult times, because you feel for the person. um, I
Yeah.
think my best moments are with employees, are with resources, when we had an opportunity to call someone out, or
Oh yeah.
give someone a gift. Or I remember, we don't really do this anymore, but when we used to sponsor people from Central or South America, to bring them in on work visas and help them with their citizenship process. Those are moments that definitely stay with me.
Yeah. For with clients, for me, it's just after a massive launch, the release and just like the
Yeah,
big hit of dopamine is just it's the
yeah,
best. Like the guys are so excited and the client is so excited, and sometimes months of work that has been invested into projects, and we see that come to life, and then you hear them coming back months later and they're like, thank you.
yeah.
Those are my favorite moments. Yeah, memorable.
Yeah, I like the dopamine comment, because it is addictive to do a good job and to get great feedback from clients. It's addictive. It's so fun. Um, I think also it's important to, and I've learned this over the years, how to react to the other part, like how to react to the negative,
Yeah.
that happens rarely, but it does happen. Like, how are you going to react? Are you going to collaborate with that client to make it better? Are you going to just dismiss that client and say, "Well, you listen, 90% of my clients are happy. You're in that 10%, so you must be wrong."
Yeah.
And it's not, and it's no matter what, the client. had a certain expectation, and it was up to you to either reinforce that expectation, change it, or don't take the project. Like we refuse clients all the time. If someone calls with a crazy expectation and a crazy code base that is spaghetti code, we'll definitely walk away because we know for a fact that there's no pleasing some people. Um, so if you can't change their expectation, then you're really asking for trouble. You're looking for trouble.
Yeah, and I think this is something that we haven't, spoken enough in the last hour is collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
Collaboration is the foundation. Collaboration and communication are the most important aspects of our work. And it's me with clients, me with devs with clients. Those are the foundations of, our success. And yeah, I think that this is a nice recipe for success, happiness, and treating our people like client, everyone, like family. Sorry.
Beautiful. And that's a great way to end it. I couldn't think of a better way to end it. Treat your clients like family. Treat your employees like family. Um, because that honestly, that's the only way to succeed in business. You cannot succeed in business if you don't please clients. And to all my friends and family who have used our services over the past 11 years, I thank you so much. Thanks
Thank
for trusting us.
you.